Hey. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is still me, Preacher Moss. Just got a microphone. Hey, listen, I want to welcome everybody to the SOS, the Shout Out Show. This is episode number 77. We are steamrolling full-fledged ahead towards episode number 100. Inshallah, you're going to see some more upgrades in terms of microphones, webcams, all those type of things. And we're also going to expand the show out a little bit. We're going to be able to talk with you a little bit more. We're going to have a little bit better production, if you will. Pray for me. But also, we're gonna lean more towards audience participation. You know, I always love for you guys to give your shout outs. That's very, very important to me. When I say shout outs, it's not, hey, how you doing, Preach? I appreciate that, but letting me know what's on your mind. So let me get to the top of the order in terms of housekeeping, if you will. First of all, let me welcome you to the show. The people who have come to the show before, I love you. Keep coming. Appreciate your support. The people that are coming for the first time, I want you to know that this is a safe place. We come here to discuss ideas. And I'm going to tell you about the people who actually come to this show and been supporting a long time. I know, brothers and sisters, at 5 o'clock Central Time and 6 p.m. Eastern Time is not the best time, but you seem to tune in anyway. And I appreciate that more than you know. And the other thing is we're going to be expanding some things. I'm going to be looking at some different themes, and I'm actually going to put out some things. I'd like to possibly know what you may want to talk about in the upcoming weeks. I drive the show in terms of topics, but I love what I'm seeing in the comment section. Some of the ideas are really beautiful ideas, beautiful concepts. I don't want to lose them. Like I said, this is not a thing where it's my opinion. I'm reflecting a lot of different opinions, a lot of different attitudes. So like I said, the Shout Out Show, brothers and sisters, not Preacher Moss. It says the Shout Out Show with Preacher Moss, not only Preacher Moss. It is all of us. This is a family show, and I hope you guys feel that way when you come. And if I don't make you feel safe or welcome when you come here, you hit me in the comment section and you let me know, and we'll have a conversation about how I can improve. I'm not perfect, as all imams say. Whatever you hear that's good comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whatever is foul came from my own nafs. So I'm no different. Let's talk about today's topic, brothers and sisters. And I'm going to give a little background to why I brought this topic up. Today's topic, you can see in the banner, is what is the Muslim brand in 2020? What is the Muslim brand in 2020? And what I found when I started asking this question is it really centered me in where we are in terms of communication, journalism, artistic expression here in the United States and really around the world, because everything is so competitive these days. Everything is so competitive. We don't like to talk about it, even in our masjid communities. We're always competing. We are competing for parishioners. We're competing for followers. We're competing for donors. We're always competing. And we don't like to say my brand is X and their brand is Y, but we do say my brand is X and that brand is Y, and my brand is a little bit better and that brand is a little bit weaker. And I'm not saying this is the work shaitan or anything like that. I'm just saying in the nature of the business of trying to go out. And I'm going to say this in the words of my mentor, Reginald Kitchen, and please pray for him. He had a minor stroke. Keep him in your prayers. He said, in the push for us to be excellent and save human life, he said, we all have to compete with each other and compete with ourselves. That I agree with. That I have no words with. I have no problem with that. But it's just not happening in this space. I'm looking at where we are right now. And let me frame something for you about what I'm talking about here. Yesterday, I was a part of a meeting. It was leadership. You guys know how it is. Muslim community leadership type of deal. Had one group that was sort of like an umbrella group. This one group, society, something society, they had maybe, 20 some plus mashes underneath that umbrella, and the other mashes were not underneath the umbrella. And it's almost like Walmart. Like you have a big Walmart that moves in, and then All right, can you hear me now? I hope so, because I've been talking to myself for the last couple minutes. People, I apologize for that. I tried to make it better, tried to make it sound better, but every once in a while, I do mess up. So I'm going to ask Satana, can you hear me now? Let's give a shout out for Sister Satana as well, brothers and sisters. Cool. Thank you, Sister Rachel. I appreciate you. I'm going to give you a shout out. Thank you, Sister Rachel. Alhamdulillah, I appreciate you. So listen, I've been talking about this whole, I don't know if what you caught, but again, the title of the show is called, What is the Muslim Brand in 2020? And I brought it up because there is a competition going on, a competition that's forming. I see it in a space whereby even in our own Muslim organizations, there is the idea that we're trying to figure out where and when we can get in and fit in. And we're moving past the fact and maybe avoiding the fact that here in America, Islam, while it's a religion, it's a brand. We live in a branded content society. Doesn't matter if you're Christian, Jew, Muslim, agnostic, everybody has a brand. If you don't believe me, look at Instagram. Instagram is a playground for everybody's personal brand. Before they had video, it was literally looking at other people's pictures and how they live their life. And the people whose lives we really like, those are the ones we will follow. Think about that. You're following somebody else's life. Here in America, the United States, Islam has had some amazing, miraculous trends in terms of branded content, brand identity. And I don't have to give a long history, but I will recap the thing that I said that brought me to this point where we are right now. I was on a live stream. I'm sure all of you have been on 300 or 400, 500 live streams since COVID hit. I was on a live stream, and this one organization, it was a big organization, Islamic Society of blah, 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 blah. They had maybe 20, 30 masjids underneath them, and they had the masjids who were not underneath them all on a live stream. And it got a little heated, got a little contentious because, check this out, this happens, but the masjids that they were like, you know, they were independent masjids. If there were stores, they'd be mom and pop stores. Not mom and pop masjids, but mom and pop stores. But basically, every store that was independent, the gripe with the larger consortium, if you will, is that whenever we needed help, whenever we needed support, financial support, whenever we needed to galvanize our position, it came with strings. And the same string was put out to every person. The same string was, we'll finance this, we'll sponsor this, but you got to come up underneath our brand. You got to come up underneath our umbrella. And I'm like, yo, this is like a weird religious LBO, leverage buyout, man, because you're congealing the idea of this spot to make it look like it's all one brand. And here in the United States, brand is everything. Image is everything. I was talking about something. I'm going to tell you how deep this is, if you will. and I apologize if I'm repeating, brothers and sisters. This is how deep this was. I said that this man, Hossam Gamea, who is the director of the Islamic Leadership Conference in New York, Council in New York, he led a protest, not a small protest. He led a protest against hate, anti-racism, hate, Islamophobia. And he was also bringing attention to it. It's been over a year, well over a year and 3 months, since you had the massacre at the Christchurch Mosque in New Zealand. Okay? This guy got 5,000 people to come out for his protest in New York during the time of COVID. 5,000 people. They marched 3 miles to CNN in Columbus Circle, and I'm just hearing about it yesterday. I didn't hear about it from CARE, Islamic Relief, Helping Hand, Impact, ISNA, and I mean, maybe you guys heard about it, because sometimes I could be in my own cocoon, but I didn't hear about it. And the write-up was a very small write-up, but something that was extremely significant. And I'm like, why didn't that work? Why didn't it happen? And I'm like, you know what? Could it be an issue that the Islamic Leadership Council of New York City is not a big brand. Are we a religion, if you will, that's falling to the scope of being branded content? So I asked the question, what's the Muslim brand in 2020? I mean, we have some tent poles that we do with service, with justice. We are education. We are family. These are great brand things. But at this particular time in U.S. history, the protests following George Floyd, and something with Corona as well, those protests do not cater to those things. They don't cater to families. They don't necessarily cater to education. They don't necessarily cater to Islamic knowledge. Definitely don't cater to Islamic knowledge. And they're not catering to even the aspect of how we develop leadership. This is an alternative movement, particularly Black Lives Matter. And I'm not knocking Black Lives Matter. The merit of the name stands on its own. The merit of the name. If you ask me, Black Lives Matter, of course Black Lives Matter. But the intentionality of the group does not speak to particular Islamic core values. Therefore, if you're not in that space, branded that way, well, where are we? What is the Muslim brand in 2020? What do you think it is, or what do you think it should be? I bring this point up because I had a talk with a young man, maybe about a month and a half ago, a young guy, young convert, if you will. And he asked me, he said, he said, we're Muslim. I said, yes, sir. He goes, where do we fit in all of this? Meaning he said, where do we fit in all of this? You know, because there's certain aspects of the religion we love, but it's the romanticized piece. I call it, it's the part of religion when you have time to study that. We're in a time there's a sense of urgency. It seems like almost every day there's a sense of urgency. Something has to be directed all the time. Like I can give you certain aspects of brand of the Muslim religion in community, if you will. In academic circles, it's usually the brand that can talk about Islamophobia and allay people's fears. In the urban areas, people aren't talking about Islamophobia. They're talking about, how do I get food on my table? My kids are hungry. I'm oppressed. I'm underrepresented. And I've been that way for years. Then you have a group that says, well, the Muslim brand needs to be more liberal. They need to be more inclusive. They need to accept these things, who I am, what I like. And Islam doesn't work that way. It's like, look, a lot of them need you. A lot of them need me either. So, all right. Walaikum assalam. Okay, all right, Sister Aika. But my question is, if we don't have a brand in 2020, and I'm not just going to say a brand, brothers and sisters, I'm going to say a competitive brand. If we don't have a competitive brand, like, I know I'm being really, really far out there. Imagine if everybody that took a Shahada as a convert got $500. What kind of brand would we be? Imagine if everybody who did service as Muslims for 3 years, like the Mormons do, when you got a free education when you came back. What kind of brand do you think we would be? I have my thoughts about the brand I think we're going to be. At this point in time, I think we're going to be a brand that is in trouble because internally we haven't figured out what we mean to one another and being able to put an honest evaluation of what we can do. That was what happened on that meeting. Because people could say other folks were complaining, and you know the whole drama between immigrant Muslims, quote unquote immigrant Muslims, and indigenous Muslims. And it does come down to the fact that one of the brands that we've fostered and haven't really looked at is the fact it's the brand that we don't trust one another. In our Muslim community, we don't trust one another. And I've said this before. I said, because it's gotten to it's almost like, for lack of a better word, we're starved in terms of wanting justice, wanting equality here in the United States. We're starved. And so when someone gives or sprinkles a little bit of justice, a little bit of attention, we're so quick to fight each other for that spotlight that we play ourselves, for lack of a better word, forgive me, as a brand is not too valuable. Think about this. When you say Muslim in the United States, you say Muslim leaders, who are you thinking about? Who are we talking about in the United States? If you're talking about the African Americans, of course, it's going to be Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Mr. Farrakhan, Muhammad Ali. You're going to get that. If we were to take those icons out of the picture and we say, who are the Muslim leaders that speak truth to power to the rest of the United States? Like, who do we have that transcends being Muslim? When I say transcend being Muslim, I mean, Mr. Farrakhan does that because, African Americans who are not Muslim will follow him. But that's mostly African Americans. Who do we have, and even more importantly, who are we developing, brothers and sisters, that's going to transcend the Muslim brand? They're going to transcend it, meaning that other people are going to follow that person because, doggone it, that person is saying what I like. That person, who's going to be our Muslim Obama, if you will, And I'll tell you something about brand, man. I was involved in something a couple of years ago, and the brother wanted to do a Muslim. I think it's before Zaytuna, around the time of Zaytuna. He wanted to have a Muslim organization, Islamic college, and I listened to what he was saying, and I was like, cool, I dig it, man, I dig it. And all he kept saying was, and I got to give Big T a shout out, man. Walaikum assalam, T. And this is how I'm thinking. So maybe this is like 2008. He said this. He said, I want this Islamic school, Islamic college. I'm like, I'm with you. And he goes, we're going to get the best Muslims to come. And I was like, skirt, hold on a minute. He was like, what do you mean? I said, dude, if you're going to build the best school, build the best school. Not that you get the Muslims want to come. You want to get the non-Muslims that want to come. You want to build something on the scale of Harvard, Princeton, some of the most innovative, most difficult schools to get into, and you want to do it. And he was like, can you do that? I was like, what is holding you back? I want to mention somebody, Imam Zaid. Imam Zaid is becoming that guy, And thank you, sir, because I was going to talk about Imam Zaid. Imam Zaid is a person who has been in that space. And he just took over the leadership of MANA, a Muslim Alliance of North America. MANA had a lot of potential back in the day. I think it got a little heavy in terms of really, for lack of a better word, just what is the identity of MANA going to be? Like, what are the objectives? When you step out and you put your card out and say, I'm MANA, I'm here to do X, Y, and Z. They didn't have that for a while. So Imam Zaid is in a spot whereby he can bridge, if you will, that thing. Like I said, he can transcend a whole lot of things. I'm gonna say take Imam Zaid. If you pluck him out of the Muslim community and you put him in the non-Muslim community and you let him work, I think he would be that guy. We have a couple. We have also Dr. Bilal Ware. I think he has that. And a couple of Imam Suhaib, he could put some work in. But I'm saying, our Muslim brand now, as we speak, what is it in 2020? Because I just told you about this gentleman having a protest in New York, 5,000 people marching 3 miles of CNN Columbus Circle, and I didn't hear about it. Not only did I hear about it, I didn't see it in any of the care alerts or nothing like that. I'm like, this is substantial. And I'm like, could it be that his brand wasn't big enough? I'll break it down to entertainment. Sometimes it didn't matter if you're the funniest person or not, or you made the people laugh the hardest or not. It was, did you sell enough beer? Does your brand sell enough beer? For years, I wasn't a headliner because I didn't sell beer. I didn't advocate it on stage. I don't drink. I don't want to drink. I haven't drank. If you ask me questions why, I'm going to give you even more information you probably didn't want to know about. Have we become a situation where our brand is weakened because there's no leadership right now? I talked about this several times about the advent and the phenomenon more so of leaderless organizations, meaning that people work in terms of collectives. Collectives don't need to have particular consensus, which means that a collective can have an ideal or goal that's short term, but it doesn't have a grand vision. I want to know, is the Muslim brand a brand of collectives, or are we going to get back to being a team? Who's going to be the rally point, the cheerleader that rallies all the groups without making them come up under one umbrella? Who brings the people in and says, hey, listen, I respect what you do, I respect what you do, I respect what you do. I'm not going to ask you to do anything else. I'm not going to ask you to walk away from your skill sets or your talents. I'm going to ask you to contribute them to an overall picture that gets us from point A to point B. That's the thing. That's the idea. That's the brand I've been looking for a long, long time. Brothers and sisters, maybe I'm being idealistic. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I want something that's not there, may not happen. But my point is, despite all the things I said, it doesn't mean I can't have that vision. It doesn't mean that you can't have that vision. And when we talk to our children about understanding what a brand of Islam is. The brand, not just the Quran and the Sunnah, which are very, very important. I'm talking about the Quran and Sunnah in action. Why we go to the protests, why we sit down and have discussions about what's going on in social justice, why we have to navigate carefully what we're doing, who we're hanging with, where we put our energies and effort, because why? We have a brand, a very, very important brand. I might have said, lately I felt like it was getting a little watered down with all the things that are going on. It was just too many punches, too many punches, people. Everybody was catching left, rights, and uppercuts, not just Islam. But now you have a quelling period. You have a period, for lack of a better word, where it's a little bit slowed down. The anxiety and the emotions are not as high. And believe me, this time, maybe that next live stream, people get together, they say, listen, before you talk about come under my umbrella, ask me what my brand is. Ask me what I bring to the party. Ask me what I'm willing to share in my talents and skill sets. Ask me what good my masjid does in this neighborhood, what we do well. Ask what they do well over here. Is it organization? Is it distribution? Is it preaching? Is it these things? And if we can have that conversation, you're going to have possibly one of the most powerful brands you ever heard, because nobody's doing that. We're supposed to be the religion of innovation. Now let's be the religion of innovation. Let that be our brand to begin with, and then we simply back it up. We back it up. We show people why we're innovative. So the whole idea of zakat, people understand zakat from a Muslim. Have you ever explained the idea of zakat to non-Muslims in neighborhoods that are suffering, underprivileged, under-resourced, oppressed? Have you ever talked about the idea of zakat? Brothers, people look at me, and I'm not a scholar, and I talk about zakat, and they get tears in their eyes. And they're like, this is every day? I'm like, yeah, bro. If I can help you, I can help you. That type of branding. To the point we even move forward. I'll tell you the most powerful branding, and then I'm going to let you go, because doggone it's 30 minutes. And please, I apologize. Sister Satana, don't hurt me. Don't. I apologize. I know the sound wasn't on point. I tried something different. I took a suggestion. It didn't work out. I apologize. But let me tell you how branding works. Branding works when it's so powerful that I, as a conscious man, at the time a Christian man, followed the lead of a man I never met before. Only read about him, only heard about him in conversation with other Muslims who hadn't met him either. But the brand was so precise and pristine, I signed up, knowing that I would never meet this man, knowing that I would never shake his hand and still benefit from his example of leadership and service. Of course, we're talking about Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. But if we can do 5 to 10% of that brand, we're going to be deadly. That's all I got for you, people. Have a blessed weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.